Okay, so here we have the second part of the review for our decimals test. This is going to be all the word problems from that review. So starting here with number 1, it says Halima bought $16.27 worth of groceries and paid with a $20 bill. How much change did she receive? So in this problem, when we talk about change, always in math, to calculate change, you will subtract. As long as you have enough information here. You will always subtract to find how much change you have. We're talking about change as money, but it could also be like, oh, I started with 5 people and now I have 7 people. How many people did that change by? Or by how many people did that change? Anytime in math or science when you're talking about change, you can subtract. So anyways, we're going to do the bigger number, 20, and we're going to subtract the smaller number, 16.27. Let me see if I can get my decimal point there. So probably want to do this vertically, up and down. So thing you got to remember, the rule when we subtract or add is we have to line up the decimal point. Let's see if I can get a bigger decimal point. Not doing too good here. So with the 20, you got to remember that the 0 is in the ones place, which means that the decimal point is really, if we need it, it's on the right. So that decimal point is just to the right of that 0 in the ones place. So now I'm set up here to subtract. Got my decimal point lined up, and right away I see a problem. Let me switch over to green here. So I look here and I go, we're doing 0 minus 7, 0 take away 7, and top number is smaller. You cannot do that. So we got to borrow. So the 0 looks here to this 0 and tries to borrow from that, but we can't. So look next door to that 0, still can't borrow. So now look here to 2. But if you remember, don't borrow from 2, borrow from 200. So when you borrow from 200, 200 becomes 199, and this 0 gets to become a 10 now. And now we should be set up to do our subtraction. So now I'm going to take a look again at the ones place, or excuse me, this would be the hundreds place, all the way on the right. 10 take away 7 will give you 3. Now I've got a 9 take away 2 gives me 7. There goes the decimal point. 9 take away 6 gives me 3, and 1 take away 1 gives me 0. So final answer, I don't need that 0 at the beginning, but I have, this is a dollar amount, $3.73. And again, let me make sure I'm getting that decimal point written down there. There's my final answer. Remember that if you want, you can check by adding. You can take these two numbers and you can add them together, 16.27, and add 3.73, and when you do that, you should come up with $20.00. I'm going to let you check that yourself, though. Alright, number 2 on our decimals review says Bernice bought 3 pounds of chicken at $4.23 per pound and 2.7 pounds of potatoes at $1.30 per pound. How much money did she spend? This one's going to be kind of tricky because there's a couple different things we have to do. We've got chicken here and we've got potatoes. So we might want to kind of keep track of these separately. So chicken and potatoes. I'm going to start with the chicken once I get this written. So we got 3 pounds at $4.23 per pound. And right there I see that word per, and to me I go, oh, that's a rate. I can use a rate to help me solve this probably. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to write out my 3 pounds, if I can, and I'm going to multiply by the rate as a fraction. And if you remember, pounds here means I want pounds or 1 pound on the bottom of that fraction. So $4.23 per pound is per 1 pound. So 1 pound on the bottom, I have money on the top, 4.23, $4.23, and again, got to get that decimal point. So this is what I'm going to do for the chicken. So we've got 3 times the top, 4.23, divided by the bottom, divided by the 1 pound on the bottom, which, if you remember, really you don't have to divide by 1. That's not going to change anything. So it's really just for the chicken 3 times 4.23. Okay, now I'll show you how to do that here in a little bit, but in the meantime I'm going to switch over to the potatoes momentarily. We'll come back to that 3 times 4.23. For the potatoes, let's maybe do purple for the potatoes here. We've got 2.7 pounds at $1.30 per pound, $1.30 per pound. So again, I see it $1.30 per pound, and I go, that is another rate. So I can set this up. It's 2.7 pounds of potatoes times the rate. And again, for the rate, if I have pounds here, I want pounds or 1 pound on the bottom. I want these to have the same unit, pounds here and pound or pounds there. And again, it's per pound, per 1 pound, $1.30 per 1 pound of potatoes. And again, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to do that first number, 2.7, times the top number, 1.3 or 1.30. I'm going to simplify that, just 1.3, and divide by the bottom number, which is 1. And again, dividing by 1 doesn't change anything, so I'm going to skip that part. Okay. So again, that's your shortcut if you want 2.7 times 1.3 or 1.30. Now what you would do here is and again, I'll show you the multiplication just in case you want to see that, but you're going to add the chicken with the potatoes. Because the question, going back to the question, how much money did she spend? Well, we know she bought chicken and we know she bought potatoes, so we're going to add the chicken and the potatoes. Whatever amount I get, whatever dollar amount I get, I'm going to add that. Okay, so that's going to be my last step. So just real quick, I'm gonna show you what the answer is, and then I'll go back and I'll show you the work. Okay, so going back over to the chicken, if we do 3 times 4.23, it comes out to 12.69, $12.69 for the potato, or for the chicken, excuse me. If you do this 2.7 times 1.3, you come up with 3.51, $3.51. So we said we would add that. I'm going to add now these numbers that I'm writing in orange. So we'd have 12.69, and again, I'll show this to you, plus 3.51. So final answer, what we come out with is 16.20. And since it's money, we do like to put the 2 digits. You could say that this is really just 16.2, 16 and 2/10 instead of 16 and 20/100ths. But with money, we like to do 2 digits. Typically, you wouldn't say $16.2, you would say $16.20. So that's final answer. If you want to see, I will show you now actually doing those operations. So I'm just going to write it up here. The 3 times the 4.23, I'll show that to you. And the 2.7 times 1.3, I'll show that to you. And also then the adding at the end, I'll show that to you if you want. But if you're satisfied with, here I just have to multiply, here I just have to multiply, and then add at the end, you might be okay, you might feel okay. But otherwise, I'll show you that. Here we go. Okay, so I'm getting rid of everything so I have some space to do the work here. Again, this is number 2. So for the chicken, we are doing 3 times 4.23. Typically, we like to have the number with more digits on top, so I'm going to put 4.23 on top. It really doesn't matter. This is just the way we typically do it. And then we'll do the potatoes over here. Potatoes, 2.7 times 1.3. And then at the end, we'll find the total that we said we would by adding. So here we go. So looking at the chicken, we would start with 3 times 3, which would give us 9. Remember, when we're multiplying is the easy one. I don't care about the decimal point until the very end. So start with 3 times 3, then we're going to do 3 times 2, gives me 6, and 3 times the 4, which gives me 12. Okay, so now I have to look and I have to count and I say, alright, my original numbers, I had 1 2 digits to the right, so in my answer I need 1 2 digits to the right. Decimal point goes right there, 12.69. So we have, so I'm going to write that over here, 12.69. We said for the total we're going to add these numbers, add the chicken and add the potatoes. Whoops, let's make that A. Alright, going to the potatoes, show you that multiplication. Again, I'm going to start with 3 times 7, or 7 times 3 is 21, carry the 2, then 3 times 2 gives me 6, plus the 2 gives me an 8. And I'm done with the 3. Now I move to 1 times 7 is 7, but remember I got to start that right here. I can put a 0 here if I want, or put an X. I just leave it blank. But that 1 times 7 has to go right there. And then 1 times 2 is 2, write that down. This is just, remember, multiplying as if they're whole numbers. We're not worried about the decimal point right now. So now I'm adding 1 with nothing is 1, 8 plus 7 is 15, carry a 1 there, and then 1 plus 2 gives me 3. And again, I have to now count. Now that I'm done, I say, where does that decimal point go? So originally I have one number, two numbers or two digits to the right, and so I go 1, 2, and there's my decimal point. So that's how I get that 3.51. So I'm going to add that up here. And I'm going to line up that decimal point. That's the rule when you add or subtract. Got to line up the decimal point. So there's the decimal point, 3.51. And now I can add 9 plus 1. Gives me 10. Carry the 1. 1 plus 6 plus 5 is going to give me 12. Carry the 1. Put down your decimal point. 1 plus 2 plus 3 will give me 6. And then 1 with nothing gives me 16. So there was our final answer that we said. That's how we're doing the calculations. And that is money, so if you want, throw on a $sign to that. Moving on to number 3, it says gasoline costs $2.51 per gallon. How much do 18 gallons of gas cost? So again, I'm seeing this word per in here. And to me, that shows a rate. So $2.51 per gallon. That is a rate that I can probably use if it asks me for either money or gallons, and it gives me something else. So 18 gallons, that's what I'm going to start with here. I'm going to abbreviate, just write gal, times my rate of, remember with gallons right here, I want 1 gallon or gallons on the bottom, and it's $2.51 per 1 gallon. So that's my 1. I got the $2.51 up top. Get that decimal point. So this is my setup, okay? And again, from here, I'm going to do the first number, and I don't need the words anymore, times the top number, 2.51, divided by the bottom number. That's how these multiplying whole number by fraction, that's the shortcut. And again, we said divide by 1 is really can be skipped. If it was divided by 2 or something, we would need to do it, but dividing by 1 won't change it. So really, this is my shortcut, and some of you might recognize that. Oh, we can just do 18 times 2.51. Again, I'll give you the answer, just in case you wanted to know that it was just multiplication, but I will then show you how to do the multiplication. This comes out to $45.18 when you do the multiplication. So again, if you just wanted to know that it was multiply, let's get that 8. If you just wanted to know that it was multiplication and you feel fine doing the multiplication, you can move on to the next problem. But if you want to see, I will show you how to do that multiplication here. Again, like in number 2, typically we like to put the number with more digits on top when we multiply. So 2.51, $2.51 has 3 digits, so I'll put that on top, compared to 18 only has 2. And remember, multiplying is the easy one. I don't have to worry about decimal points. The 18 doesn't have a decimal point because it's a whole number. I don't have to worry about it. So just doing my multiplication, starting with the 1 times 8, will give me 8. 5 times 8, or 8 times 5, gives me 40. Carry the 4. And then the 8 times the 2 gives me 16, plus the 4 gives me 20. And I'm done with the 8. Multiplying by the 1 is going to be really easy. I start with the 1 times the 1, gives me a 1. Remember, I put it right there. 1 times 5 gives me a 5, and 1 times 2 gives me a 2. So there's 251, there's 251. Multiplying by 1 is easy. Got to add these up. 8 with nothing gives me an 8, 0 plus 1 gives me a 1, 0 plus 5 gives me a 5, and 2 plus 2 gives me a 4. I got to look at the original numbers, how many digits to the right of the decimal point. I got 1, 2 here, so 1, 2 there. There goes my decimal point, and I'm just going to rewrite it here, $45.18. Since it was money, we're talking cost. And that's what I had over there already. And there is number 3. Here we go with number 4. A team of 4 people ran a race together. The first person ran his part of the race in 14.36 seconds. The second person's time was 13.9 seconds. The third person and fourth person each had a time of 15 seconds. What was the total time for the team? So keep in mind here, we've got 4 people, and a lot of people will miss this, or they'll lose track. They go, oh, it's, I see 14.36, 13.9, and I see 15. But that 15 is the third person and the fourth person. So it's really like we have another 15 in here, another 15 seconds. Okay, so really we've got 14.36 is one of them, 13.9, 15 seconds, and another 15 seconds. So don't lose track of that. Okay. Here, to find the total time, we have to put all these individual times together. So I'm just going to write here, we're going to put these together. And if you remember, to me, I don't necessarily like keywords. You might see the keyword total and think you know what to do. But I think about I'm putting the times together. And to me, the idea of putting together means that I'm going to add. I'm going to add all these numbers up here. So remember, when we add, the rule is line up the decimal point. So I'm just going to start with the 14.36, and I know I've got 4 numbers, so I'm just going to draw 4 decimal points, and then even one for my answer. I'll put a decimal point there. So 14.36 was the first, then we have 13.9, and then 15, 5 is in the ones place. That's how it works out there. Remember, 15 without a decimal, it's a whole number, so you could say, well, the 5 is in the ones place. That means the decimal point is to the right of the ones place. But we don't need that decimal point. Okay, so if you want, you can fill in zeros here. Remember that sometimes you don't need them. This is one of those times when you're adding, you don't need to fill in a 0. If we were subtracting, we might, if the 0 is on top. So you might just want to always put that 0 in there. Your choice, though. So now I'm in the hundredths place. I'm going to look here at the 6 plus 0 plus 0 plus 0 is going to give me a 6. Now to the tenths place, 3 plus 9 gives me 12. Sorry, I'm drawing these little marks. I'm not carrying a 1 there. Now I'm carrying a 1. 1 plus 4 plus 3 plus 5 plus 5. I might have to think about that a little bit, but I believe that's going to give us 18. Carry a 1. And then 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1 gives us 5. So there's our answer, 58.26 seconds. Because they're asking about time, and we were given all these were all time measurements, so I'm struggling there. But 58.26 seconds is my final answer. Alright, now on to number 5. Says an 8.4 ounce bag of candy costs $1.26. At this rate, how much would 1 ounce of candy cost? So in this problem, I'm even given the hint here about, oh, hey, at this rate. So what's involved in the rate? I have a weight, 8.4 ounces. That's a weight or a mass, how heavy something is, and I'm comparing that with the cost, the dollar amount, $1.26. So right there, I can either do 8.4 ounces. Ounces is abbreviated OZ for some reason, over $1.26, $1.26, or I could do $1.26 over 8.4 ounces. And again, the question will determine which of those fractions that I use. So if I keep reading here, at this rate, how much would 1 ounce? Alright, so there you go. That's the clue I need. 1 ounce, and I guess I'll write out the whole word ounce. I'm going to multiply by my rate. And because I have 1 ounce here, I want my ounces on the bottom. So not that one, I don't want that one. I want this one, ounces on the bottom. So that means $1.26, 1.26 is on top, and 8.4 ounces, again I'll write out the word ounces, goes on the bottom. 1 ounce here, 8 ounces on the bottom, 8.4 ounces. Alright, so that's the setup with the rate. From here I can remember that it's going to be the first number, 1, times the top number, 1.26, don't need the words anymore, divided by that bottom number, 8.4. And again, you might say, okay, I really don't have to do multiplication by 1, because that's not going to change anything. So it really comes down to 1.26 divided by 8.4. And again, that's the shortcut. And again, for those people that just want to know what operation to do and you feel comfortable doing it on your own, that's your shortcut. That's the operation to do, 1.26 divided by 8.4. I'll give you the answer, and then again, I'll show you. This is dollars again. How much would it cost? It would be 0.15, which is $0.15. You could also just write 15 cents like that with the C with the slash through it. Just recognize that these are different. Okay, these two answers right there, those are different. So just be careful with those. All right, but yeah, I think that's it for this video. I'll do 6 through 10 in another video. So if you don't want to see the math, then you're done here, I guess. Otherwise, if you want to see how to get that answer, I will show you the division. So I'll give myself a little bit of room here to do the division if you want to see it. 1.26 divided by 8.4. Remember that the second number goes outside the box and the first number goes inside. So this is how we would set it up. And remember that it does matter. If we switch the location of these numbers, if I put 8.4 inside and 1.26 outside, that's different. Okay, it matters with division. And also, one thing I would advise you to do is we're gonna change this. We're gonna change the 8.4. We're gonna change it now. This is how we divide. We're gonna change it to 84. We're gonna move that decimal point once to the right, and then on the inside, I do the same thing with this decimal point. So the 1.26 becomes 12.6. And if you want, you can rewrite the problem. 84. How many times does that go into 12.6? Some people are okay up here, and they can do the math that way. If you want to rewrite it, this is really what the problem is going to become. Once you have that whole number on the outside, 84 instead of 8.4, and on the inside 1.26 changes to 12.6. Remember that decimal point has to go straight up on top. Kick it straight up on top of the bar. And now we're doing long division. Okay, we're dividing by 84. One thing you might want to do to help yourself out. Sometimes when people do long division with a 2-digit number, they might guess and check. And to me, that's a not a good strategy. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do 84. I'm going to do my multiplication by 84 over on the side here. Okay, so I'm going to fill this out. I suggest you do this yourself also, all the way up to 84 times 9. Because that's going to help me in the long division. So I'm gonna pause the video and do that, and I'll put everything up here. But you'll see how that's going to help me. Okay, so I've got all my multiplication by 84 from 1 to 9 over there, and this is going to help me. So if you remember long division now, I look at how many times does 84 go into 1, and it doesn't. So I move on. How many times does 84 go into 12? It doesn't. 84 is too big to go into 1. It's too big to go into 12. We've got to start with 84 over here or less. 84 into 84, or excuse me, something bigger, not less. The number we're looking at has to be at least 84 or bigger. So 1 didn't work. 12 didn't work, so let's look at 126. Remember, we're ignoring that decimal point. How many times will 84 go into 126? Well, over here, 126 would be in between 84 and 168. So 1 is going to be my winner. 2 times is too much, so it's only going to go in once. And I put that above the 6. 126, I put that above the 6. So now I do my multiplication. I've already got it done over here. 1 times 84 is 84. And now I subtract. 6 take away 4 gives me 2. Remember, don't worry about the decimal point. 12 take away 8 gives me 4, so I'm at 42. Well, we don't do remainders with decimals, so I have to keep going here, which means I got to put in a 0, and then I have to bring that 0 down. So now, how many times will 84 go into 420? Well, I see it right here. There's 420 exactly, so 5 is my winner. So it goes in 5 times. 5 times 84, I've already done it over here on the right, is 420. Now I subtract, and that's going to be 0. 0, 0, 0. No more digits to bring down. Remainder of 0. I'm done. So here's my answer. The only thing I'm going to do is we're talking about cost. Going back to the original question, we're talking about cost. So I'm going to put in a $sign, and I'm going to put in a 0 in the ones place. But there you go. $0.15, which is really $0.15. And like we said, if you want, you could write it this way. 15 with the cent symbol instead of with the dollars, but notice that this has no decimal point. Here you're really talking about 15/100ths of a dollar, but we usually say cents. This is how you would write 15 cents. There you go. If you're looking for numbers 6 through 10, that is in another video, but hopefully this helped.